And nothing is more important and near and dear to our hearts than the future of our children, and that, of course, depends on a couple of things: parenting and education. And therein lies the perfect segue to talk about School Choice Week and the School Choice Fair. You know, parents having the final word in where is the best school to place my child. It is a right in this country. We have all other kinds of freedoms in this country, and that ought to be the very first of them. School choice. Although many find this a very irritating issue, we have to talk it through, discuss it, because the reality is we have a lot of issues that dealt with education. And School Choice Fair is going to actually be something, a vehicle for you parents to find out about. So, with that said, Lynn Poyant joins us, who is a fabulous advocate for not only a school choice, but also Lynn, a former WBSM reporter, WRKO reporter, is now a wonderful advocate for our children's education at Global Learning Charter Public School as the Director of Education and Community Outreach. And you always look wonderful. What is your secret, running or what?
Well, there's a lot of that going on.
Oh my gosh, you look so young.
Thank you.
You haven't aged.
Well,
Casey, look at her. I mean, does she look like she's 28?
What's your secret?
What is your secret?
When you mentioned that I was in radio, I was like, yes, back in the dinosaur age almost. But I don't know. I mean, gee, I didn't realize I looked so young. But
Yes,
thank
you do.
Thank you.
Yes, you do. And let's segue right into why you're here. Tell us why you're here.
I'm here to talk about the School Choice Fair, which is tomorrow night at the Boys and Girls Club in New Bedford, from 6 to 8 p.m. And we have a number of schools that will be represented, about a dozen schools, as we have had for the last 4 years. And parents and families can come and get information about where they might want their children to go to school. And as you said, Phil, it's a matter of choice, and making sure that parents know what those choices are and making the information accessible to them. Really, that's all it's about.
Yes.
Yes.
How many schools? About how many schools?
It's about 12 schools, and we'll have public schools there, we'll have private schools there, we'll have charter schools there. I did try to get even the homeschool organization to come, but I wasn't able to connect, I don't think, with the right person. But we're just trying to put everything out there that would be available to parents. So New Bedford Public Schools will be there, Greater New Bedford Vocational School, Bristol Aggie is going to be there for those who are looking at different high school options.
Sure.
And then schools like our sister school, Nativity Prep, Global Learning, of course, City on a Hill, Alma Del Mar, Friends Academy will be there. So and then some of the local Catholic schools will also be there. So there'll be, as I said, as many schools that we could gather in the area that serve, especially New Bedford students, but Greater New Bedford students as a whole will be at this event.
Lynn, this is not only a local event, this is a national week.
It is.
A celebration of choice throughout our nation, something that we ought to celebrate, because with the freedoms and rights we have, I believe that school choice is right up there. So this is a week that is celebrated throughout the country.
Yes.
And its purpose is the same as you just outlined here locally, right?
Right.
So, when you learn more about your local schools, folks, it assists you to make a better decision. What's different this year is that the venue has been changed from the Andre McCoy Center to the Boys and Girls Club.
To the Boys and Girls Club,
Okay.
yes. So, and it's in the evening, and the other changes, we would have it, in the past, it was on a Saturday afternoon.
That's right.
So this changes so that people can, more people might be out and about on a Tuesday evening, It's at a different time, it's a different day of the week, it's on a Tuesday, and it's at a different location.
Sure. And as Lynn just said, you know, the New Bedford public schools and private schools and charter schools and, you know, all of these schools are going to be there to show the parents. They're all going to feature what their school is all about, how their enrollment process goes, and their eligibility and class size, extracurricular activities at their schools. And then, folks, it's up to you. You say, well, I want my child placed here or there. And this is how it goes, right?
Exactly. You find out what, if anything, you have to do to get admitted to the school, and you find out what kind of programs they have. A lot of parents are looking for after-school programs or after-school daycare. So all those things, there'll be representatives from each of the schools there. So I see it as it saves parents legwork, because they can go to one location and all the schools are there. They can talk to representatives, they can gather information, and then they can think about what is best for their family.
And that is the key here. Many times we are almost brought up to believe in a one mold thinking process, but something like this gives parents an opportunity to look at the different opportunities, the different educational opportunities you want for your children. Because not all parents want the same exact educational formula for their child. And again, this is the United States of America, and we ought to have that right. And I think a week like this gives parents that opportunity.
Absolutely. And if you're interested in finding out more about School Choice Week, there is a website, of course. Doesn't everybody have a website?
Everyone has one.
And it's called National School Choice Week. I think if you Google it, it'll come up and you can see all the different activities that are happening across the nation. A lot of schools will do school choice rallies and school choice. There's even a dance that you can learn how to do. But when we started talking about doing this a few years ago, again, we saw it as not just each individual school celebrating what they do, but let's bring us all together and celebrate that way and share what information we have with families.
It is a positive spotlight is what it is, folks. When you have an opportunity like this, it's a positive spotlight on all the kinds of educations, all the effective educational opportunities and options that we have for our children, and then the choice is up to you. Now, I remember when we were sending our three to Kearney Academy, it was known as a magnet school. Remember that?
I remember that, yes.
Magnet schools. Now, you know, we've had magnet schools, we have charter schools, we have homeschooling, we have obviously private schools, parochial schools, and something that we haven't talked about. I think in the future we're going to have these online schools.
That's already happening.
It is. I know, it's kind of crazy.
It's already happening, yes. And that's another, maybe next year we'll get some representatives from that area.
Is it happening locally, you think?
I think they're sort of hybrid, if you will, programs where students can take online courses, but they're still enrolled in the traditional school as well.
Right.
Depending on if they need certain credits in a certain area, and it doesn't, you know, either if they're working or it doesn't fit into their schedule. But I do think that that's coming as well. And then not to forget the innovation schools, which we have one here in New Bedford, the Renaissance School. And I believe that the Renaissance School will be there. They have in the past, but I'm not sure.
Doing magnificently. The children are inspired. You know, there are uniforms, or so-called uniforms. There's a new atmosphere that has been born. So, you know, this is all encouraging. And it all is truly about our children. You know, we say it's about our kids, but this is truly about our children. What are some of the questions? All right, I'm Mr. Paleologus, who has a grandchild, and I'm in charge of my grandchild, and I want to perhaps place my grandchild at global learning. What are some of the questions that you get at a school fair about global?
Well, a lot of people, first of all, ask, is it, what's the difference between a charter school and a public school?
What do you say?
Well, a charter school is a public school. We do get public funding, but we don't get as much public funding as a regular school. We're also, we have to administer MCAS exams. We are watched as closely, if not more so, than the sending school districts as far as our scores and what we're doing. We have to follow our charter. That's why it's called a charter school. We have a document that spells out exactly what we're going to do, and we have to go for renewal every 5 years. So those are some of the differences between us and, say, New Bedford Public Schools or Dartmouth Public Schools.
Now, are you under the supervision of Dr. Pia Durkin?
We are not, and we are not under the supervision of this New Bedford School Committee. We have our own board, and we are under their jurisdiction.
Right. And so this autonomy gives these charter schools exactly, that kind of distinction between, and what did you call the other schools, the public schools?
Ascending school district or the traditional school district, sure.
So, okay, you answer a question for a parent about the difference between one school and another. Now, what's something else that you might be asked? Sports, extracurricular, academics? What are some of the other questions that they'll ask?
How do you get in? And what grade?
How do you get in?
So you fill out an application, which basically asks for your address, that kind of thing. We start in 5th grade. Our school goes from 5th grade through 12th grade. So you have to be at least in 4th grade to apply to get in. And once you fill out that application, we hold a lottery once a year. And so all the names go into a big bin, and we have someone from the community come in and pull out the names, and then that's how you
sure,
get in.
By
There's
lottery.
Right, it's all by lottery. So,
okay.
And then they'll ask about extracurricular, after-school programs. We have numerous after-school programs. They'll ask about tutoring, those types of things. We also have that. They'll ask, how long is the school day, and how big are the class size. So our class sizes are probably around 16, 17 per class. So.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to placing a child, let's say, global learning, will there be an opportunity for that kid to go to another school for a class of an extracurricular activity, perhaps? Let's say the child plays the flute and wants to be with the all-city band. Do you do that? Or?
I think that's probably, if we can, we will. And it's up to the other organizations whether they accept that or not. We have our own band, our after-school program. And funny that you should mention that. And I know we've talked a little bit about this, Phil, but you'll be hearing more about what our music teacher is doing. He is starting a weekend band, a weekend jazz group that any child from the area can join, and it doesn't cost a dime. And you come in on Saturdays. There's going to be, I think, 8 weeks of music and playing together as a band. So this is something that we're inviting other children from other schools to come in and do with us.
And what a great instructor you have.
Ian, yes. Ian Golub. Who you've met.
And not only, I know Ian very well. And folks, those of you who were lucky enough to see the cover band that did the Chicago songs, this was Ian's idea.
Yes.
To help out. Back to our week that is going to highlight school choice here in New Bedford. Close to a dozen schools, from New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School to Nativity to the public schools, and also other charter schools.
Yes.
You know, Global is going to be there, Global Learning, Alma Del Mar is going to be there, other charter schools.
Well, those are the 3 charter schools in New Bedford. The other closest charter schools.
City on a Hill, yeah.
Are in Fall River. So, you know, there's Global Charter School, Alma Del Mar, City on a Hill. You know, Global is we've been here the longest. We're
Right.
13 or 14 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're in the process of our second charter renewal, or we're going into that now. So,
Exciting.
yes, it is. It is.
And the governor has, in his State of the Commonwealth address, he has touched upon the issue of wanting to at least, expand the cap or the formula of financing charter schools, which I think is a needed discussion.
It is. It's going to be a very interesting discussion,
Sure.
and as you said, it's a needed one.
Yeah,
Yes, very
yeah,
necessary
it really is.
at this point.
So the local school choice coinciding with the national school choice during National School Choice Week. What else didn't I ask you that's very important to get out to our audience?
I
Anything
think you
about
pretty much covered everything. Well, it's free to come. There's no fee to come.
tomorrow night?
At Boys and Girls Club, Greater New Bedford, on Jenny Lynn Street,
Right,
and 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock.
okay.
So come by,
Yes.
find out about the different schools,
Right.
and it's a really nice event. I like it because it brings all the schools together, and we get to talk to each other too when we're not busy
Sure.
speaking to families. But I think it's
And you have a common goal.
we do. We all have a common goal,
Yeah.
and it's not a one size fits all.
No, it's not. Never is. Life is never that way either. If folks want to get a hold of you at Global Learning, or
Sure.
what's the best way?
The phone number. My phone number is 508-991-4105.
So you can learn what K through 12 schools are doing, have in common, and what they're doing in the community and for your child. Everything from the school size to academics and everything going on at the School Choice Fair.
We also have, Phil, a website. So if you can't get in touch with me, if you write the number down and you lose it, you can go on the Global Learning website, which is glcps.org. Or Google Global Learning Charter, and it'll come
Thank
up.
you.
I love Google. Google is.
It's
What did we do before
It is the
Google?
panacea to the improbable question each and every morning.
Yes,
It is. How did you know that? I Googled it. Thank you for what you are doing in our community, Lynn. What Global Learning Charter School is doing, and what all, just like you, are doing when it comes to educating our children.
Thank you, and thank you for having me this
You
morning.
betcha. We'll continue in a moment. Don't go away.